That new provocation from North Korea, Pyongyang launching two short-range missiles into the Sea of Japan, their first launches since President Trump met with Kim Jong-un back in June. Martha Raddatz is tracking the latest from Washington. Martha, there are reports this morning that both of these missiles may now be a new type of missile.
Exactly, Cecilia. South Korean military officials confirming now that both missiles had features indicating they were a new type of short-range ballistic missiles, one of them traveling more than 400 miles into the sea, the other traveling more than 250 miles, both fired from mobile launchers. There were two short-range missile tests back in May as well. These most recent launches could be in reaction to U.S. South Korean military exercises that are planned for next month. Kim has warned that if those exercises were not canceled, it could affect nuclear negotiations. But as you know, President Trump continues to say he has a very good relationship with Kim, although there has been no progress on denuclearizations.
So, a matter of a few weeks after it was all handshakes, hugs and smiles at the DMZ between the leaders of North Korea and the United States, we have news for you this morning that the North has lobbed more projectiles into the EC2 to be exact.
North Korea's eastern city of Wonsan at 5:34 and 5:57 a.m. Korea time this Thursday. The Joint Chiefs of Staff say the first one is a short-range missile that flew 430 kilometers towards the EC after being launched from a transporter erector launcher. Both of the weapons flew at an altitude of some 50 kilometers, and both of them flew in an easterly direction from the Hodo Peninsula. It says it's currently working with the U.S. to verify the second unidentified projectile, including its flight distance.
North Korea, it's fired two short-range missiles into the sea off its east coast, raising regional tensions as well as complicating efforts to resume those stalled nuclear talks. Now, South Korea says they were launched from Wonsan up there on your screen, both traveling hundreds of kilometers before landing in waters between North Korea and Japan. Now, Seoul says both are a new kind of short-range ballistic missile, while Tokyo says the missiles did not enter its waters.
何らかの飛翔体が北朝鮮から発射された、ここは承知しております。政府としては情報収集、分析に努めております。さらに我が国の領域や EEZ9 の弾道ミサイルの飛来は確認されておらず、現時点において我が国の安全保障に直ちに影響を与えるような事態は確認されておりません。
This is North Korea's first missile test since an impromptu meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un last month. Both leaders agreed then to restart stalled nuclear talks, but negotiations have yet to resume. It also comes after Pyongyang expressed anger over planned military exercises between Seoul and Washington.
The timing of this launch is interesting as it comes just one day after U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton was here in South Korea. Now, he's here to discuss strategic issues with South Korea, but because he's known to have this hawkish view on North Korea, many experts here believe that it's possible the missile launches were partly aimed at him. Also, the launches could be a warning to both the United States and South Korea, which will be holding joint military drills in August. Now, since both sides announced the defensive drills earlier this month, North Korea has denounced them, calling them a rehearsal of war against Pyongyang, and also demanded they be halted. Or else, it could rethink its decision to stop testing nuclear weapons and also the intercontinental ballistic missiles, the ICBMs, if the drills go ahead.
And this is where North Korea had launched a Musadan ballistic missile in June 2016 to show the regime has made significant progress in its missile development after the missile flew 400 kilometers. The launch comes as Washington has sought to restart working-level negotiations on dismantling the North Korean nuclear weapons program in line with an agreement reached between U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at their impromptu meeting at the inter-Korean border on June 30th.
Now to that stunning mass arrest of 16 U.S. Marines at Camp Pendleton. They're accused of drug-related crimes and human smuggling. Our Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz tracking the fallout in Washington. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, George. This was a mass arrest that no one in that Marine Corps battalion at Camp Pendleton will forget. They were all lined up in formation when authorities swept in and one by one pulled out those 16 Marines. With everyone watching, they were handcuffed and then taken into custody. The Marine Corps says this was for their alleged involvement in various illegal activities, including human smuggling. Earlier this month, 2 Marines were charged with transporting migrants for financial gain. The charging documents say a contact in Mexico told the Marines where to pick up the migrants once they crossed the border into the U.S. This is an embarrassment for the Marine Corps, especially since other Marines from Camp Pendleton have been tasked by the Pentagon to help secure the border.
Marines stationed at Camp Pendleton have been arrested on charges ranging from illegal drug possession to human trafficking. The arrest happened early this morning during a battalion formation. 2 other Camp Pendleton Marines were arrested earlier this month. They have been charged with smuggling 3 undocumented immigrants across the border. The investigation into the earlier crimes is what led to the arrest of these 16 Marines this morning.
Now to a story that is everywhere on Facebook. A Texas teenager back home after being wrongfully detained.
So this is getting reaction from lawmakers this morning. As you can imagine, a lot of people. Daybreak's Hannah Davis here. And Hannah, he spent almost a month in the custody of ICE agents.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions, and I think that's part of the attention here. This is a story that's based right here in Texas, and it's making national headlines. Take a look at these right here. This is from the Washington Post. U.S. citizen freed after nearly a month in immigration custody. And then look at this headline right here. This is interesting. This is from the Bulwark, and this is a conservative publication decrying this, saying we jailed an American citizen for having brown skin. They're calling this racial profiling. So how did this happen? How did we get here? Here are the details. Francisco Galicia is an 18-year-old American citizen who authorities now say was born in Dallas at Parkland Hospital. He now lives in Edinburgh, and that's about an hour from the border. He was detained while he was on his way to North Texas for soccer tryouts at Ranger College. And this is how the mix-up appears to have happened. Attorneys say Francisco and his brother were stopped at a checkpoint. The brother, who was born in Mexico and is undocumented, was detained and he was deported. That may have sparked suspicions, but Francisco was able to present his Texas ID. That was not enough, though. Authorities then scanned his fingerprints, and an old tourist visa from Mexico popped up. But attorneys say that visa was incorrectly filed by his mom years ago, and they presented officials with Galicia's Texas ID, his birth certificate, school ID, and social security card.
The president has not spoken out about that American citizen, Francisco Galicia. He is an 18-year-old American wrongfully detained by immigration officials who say that he says that he was told he had, quote, no rights.
He's a U.S. citizen. Galicia says the conditions at a Customs and Border Protection facility were so terrible he almost agreed to be deported just to get out of those conditions. CNN's Nick Valencia, he has the story.
Jim and Poppy, Francisco Galicia and his attorney believe that he was racially profiled. He sat down with CNN for an interview, and he was surprisingly in good spirits. But he does say that this experience has changed him.
Francisco Galicia is home at last, but the reminders of his detention are never far away. Sitting in his South Texas home, the 18-year-old American says what he went through should never have happened, even if immigration officials allege he's partly to blame.
Immigration officials say that there was confusion about your status because there was conflicting documents. Do you think that this was about the documents, or do you think that this was about something else?
They thought they were superior. They looked at us with such distaste. I think it was like a certain type of racism.
Un cierto tipo de racismo.
For 3 weeks, he slept on the concrete with nearly 70 others who were doing the same.
They didn't even treat you like human beings.
He survived off bologna sandwiches and says every 3 to 4 days he was given a wet wipe to clean himself.
You didn't shower at all?
No, for 23 days.
You didn't shower for 23 days?
For 23 días.
For 23 days with a bad diet, I lost nearly 30 pounds.
In his 27 days in custody, Galicia said no one ever believed he was American. At one point, tired of trying to explain himself, he considered self-deporting to Mexico.
They just mess with your mind.
Sí.
How? Explain.
Pues la verdad, amenazándome.
The truth, threatening me that they were going to press charges. Charges for falsifying documents. The whole time insulting me that how could I not know where I was from?
De dónde era.
This all started on June 27, when Galicia, along with his brother and 2 friends, left their home in Edinburgh and headed north. They were stopped at a checkpoint in Falfurrias, about 100 miles north of the border. while on their way to Ranger College in Central Texas for a soccer camp. Galicia, who was born in the U.S. but grew up in Mexico, was carrying documents proving he was an American, but he also carried a tourist visa that mistakenly listed his birth country as Mexico. This individual provided conflicting reports regarding status of citizenship after being apprehended. Situations including conflicting reports from the individual and multiple birth certificates can and should take more time to verify, CBP and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said in a joint statement Wednesday. Galicia thinks border agents would have believed he was American, if not for his broken English.